Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling, and really appreciate you guys swinging by the channel to check the video out. Guys, in today's video, I have a message for the Bassmaster and MLF management. So I don't know if any of them are going to see this. Hopefully they do. If you guys can pass it along to them. But what I wanted to do is today's video is if we were hanging out together, if I was in the boat with the management of Bassmaster and MLF, or I was just, hanging out and we were having dinner, this is the conversation I would have with them in today's video. So I'd be curious to get your guys' opinion after you hear it too. Also, guys, a quick reminder, just want to let you know, you may have heard me talking about it the last couple of days. I partnered with Tackle Warehouse to create a page on Tackle Warehouse called Blaukat's Corner. And this is a page that is on Tackle Warehouse. I'll put my link in my Tackle Warehouse Blaukat's Corner link in the description of this video. That every month I post what I think are the best lures and techniques for every month of the year. And there's a correlating video that goes on with each one of those particular lures. So if you guys would like to check that out, link in the description, much appreciated there. Okay guys, first of all, I'm gonna do this like I'm talking to the boys at Bassmaster MLF. I love them. I love you guys as far as the tournament organizations. Both of you have been a big part of my life for almost 50 years. I've fished Bassmaster for over 25 years on the top 100, the top 150, the Elite 50 series. I started my career fishing the BFLs. I qualified for the All-American in 1984. Fished, 20 years with the FLW Tour. I love both organizations. And ever since I was a little kid, I've been, reading Bassmaster in grade school magazine. I remember reading, it used to be called, what is now MLF, used to be called Operation Bass back in the early 80s. I remember reading the Operation Bass magazine in the early 80s. I love the organization. They are a critical part of the sport. But guys, you both have screwed the pooch on this one. With the announcement, all the recent announcements you guys came out with last week on the rule changes regarding live scope, you guys have really messed up in a big way. And that's really what I wanted to talk to you guys about today, as far as give you some tips and advice on this. Now, first of all, I want to say, the last 3 years in the sport, it's been a turmoil. All you guys that know, or back to the management again, you guys have seen the turmoil that has been created by live scope and forward-facing sonar, and every bit of this turmoil could be avoided if you guys would have done the right thing. Now think about this. Let's imagine a world where 3 years ago, where all of a sudden we started seeing this recurrent domination of forward-facing sonar technology in your tournaments, Bassmaster and MLF both, where the majority of the tournaments, or it used to be some of the tournaments, and then more, and then as the live scope transducers evolved to now, it's every tournament. I mean, if somebody doesn't win a tournament with live scoping or spotlighting for bass in one of your tournaments, it's big news, because it just doesn't happen. And 99% of the tournaments are won with forward-facing sonar, unless every fish in the lake is spawning on a bed, or if you're in a mud pit where you can't see 2 inches deep. That's been the reality situation. And all of this could have been avoided. All of this drama and the controversy that we're seeing in the sport right now, all of your lost memberships, which regardless, guys, if you don't want to admit it, you guys are not being honest with everybody. You guys are losing members right and left, because I know I get hundreds of messages every month about people that say, I've canceled my membership to Bassmaster MLF until they get rid of forward-facing sonar. I know you've seen the impact of it. All of this, the podcast, the YouTube videos, the disgruntled co-anglers, the kick in the nuts that the tackle industry has received as a result of you guys allowing forward-facing sonar, the fact that guys like Greg Hackney and superstars in the sport are never going to win a tournament again, and every tournament's going to get won by a 20-year-old flat brim and live scoper. No insult to flat brim and live scopers. You guys are just doing what is legal in the tournaments. But you guys have created, through your decision on allowing spotlighting for bass, you guys have taken all of the work ethic and the hard, decades-long learned experience that these professional anglers have learned honing their craft, and you've made it worthless, completely worthless, where all they need to do is know how. They need to have the technology, they need to have the advanced electronic transducers, and they just need to spend time deciphering blips on a video game screen to be a professional angler. You don't need any other knowledge at this point in time. That's because of you guys. You guys have transformed the sport into something not even recognizable in a bad way. And you got to ask yourself, what is your motivation here? It's like, you know, I understand you guys are out here to make you're out here to make money, and this is for business profit. I get that. But in the bigger picture, you guys have a responsibility to the future of the sport. You guys have a responsibility to help fulfill the dreams of anglers and ensure the tradition and the heritage and the sustainability of the sport. And you guys are failing at doing that, regardless if you want to admit it or not. I have seen before that, like I said, you guys at Bassmaster, the management at Bassmaster, most of you guys don't even fish. Most of you guys have never fished professionally. You don't understand what it is to fish professionally. And you guys should not be in the position of setting rules and regulations and you have no experience in the sport. And MLF's different. You guys that run MLF, you guys are professional fishermen. You guys should know better than this. So from that standpoint, one of the things that you're going to have to do is you're going to have to realize that, or ask yourself the question, is it worth it? Is it worth it for you guys to maintain your electronic company sponsorships at the expense of what you're doing to the sport, at the expense of everything that I've talked about on this channel, all the obvious stuff like the sustainability and the loss of the heritage and the tradition and the unlevel playing field and helping it turn into more of an elitist sport, and giving high school and college anglers the advantage that come from wealthy families, and the people that they don't have the advantage. We've talked about this over and over again. Is it worth it for you guys to have that compensation from the electronic companies at creating all this drama and turmoil and hatred in the sport and your loss of memberships? Is it really worth it? Because if you rely, both you guys, if you rely that much on your compensation from the electronic companies, you need to get rid of your marketing people because they're not doing a good job. If that electronic company subsidization is what's keeping you afloat, then you guys need to hire a different marketing team, because there's so many different opportunities out there to generate a huge revenue stream for both companies beyond that. And all of this could have been avoided, every single bit of it. If 3 years ago, when you guys saw it, and you guys saw it coming, everybody did, when you guys saw this coming, you should have just put in a rule. It said, moving forward for the 2021 season, MLF, there will be no forward-facing sonar technology allowed in MLF or Bassmaster events. That would have put it into it. And what would have been so bad about that? What would have been so bad about you guys continuing to be able to produce television shows, seeing a guy throw a big spinnerbait next to a stump and have a 5-pounder flush it, or see some guy, have a Zara spook annihilated on top, or see Chris Zaldain or Steve Kennedy throwing their big glide bait, next to a big rock and having a big fish come in and get it. You tell me, what is the downside of not having forward-facing sonar technology in your tournaments, simply from a viewership standpoint? When you guys are producing television shows, regardless of if you want to sugarcoat and whitewash the fact that our numbers are bigger than they've ever been and it's forward-facing sonar, people love to see it. They don't love to see it, guys. You guys are living in an information silo. You guys are living in a bubble of your own bubble. That's not the way it is. People do not want to see a split screen with 4 guys staring down at their electronic units. They want to see Greg Hackney flipping that 1-ounce jig in the reeds. They don't want to see some guy weenie worming around or throwing a forward-facing sonar minnow out in Lake Ontario. That's not what they want. And you can say that your viewerships are up and your numbers are up and all that type of stuff, but please don't try to skew those numbers by saying if some guy is in his fantasy fishing program and he clicks on his favorite angler 15 times a day just to see how his angler's doing in the live feed standings, that's not a legitimate click. They're not seeing any of your advertising. If I have a buddy on the Elite Series or something that I'm watching, I want to see how he's doing, I may click on it 5 or 6 different times during the day just to see how he's doing in the standings. That is not a legitimate click. That is not a viewership to your channel. That does no benefit to your advertisers out there. But if you would start getting rid of this forward-facing sonar and start producing television shows and start putting the tournaments on venues where you can create action from traditional bass fishing techniques, your viewerships are going to double from what they are right now. And just remember, guys, the height of the tournament world, when it was better than anything else, was the Bob Cobb days back in the Bassmasters in the late 80s to the early 90s. That is when traditional bass fishing was at the top of the game, and that's when everybody loved the sport and loved watching it more than anything else. So I think one of the things that you guys need to realize is you've got to step out of your own circle, because you guys are in an information silo right now. Both you guys at Bassmaster, all you guys at MLF, you guys are in an information silo. I'm in the trenches every day, guys. I've got hundreds of thousands of people that I interact with on my channels. Excuse me. And guys, I can tell you, because I've got a vibe on the pulse of this industry better than you guys have, and they don't want it. You've got a segment, a vocal minority segment of this population of fishing that is all into forward-facing sonar because it makes them easier to compete without having to access that knowledge that takes a long time. But by allowing that, you diminish the value of the art form of fishing. And this is what you guys do not get. You guys do not understand the intrinsic value of fishing that needs to be relayed from Bassmaster and from MLF. Once you start taking away that intrinsic value and the art form of fishing, the mystery and the magic and the tradition and the heritage, you diminish your sport, and you diminish you're basically undercutting your own success in the long term by doing this, regardless if you want to deny the reality of it. So the point is, guys, I'm telling you right now, all of this can be avoided. Just try it. Just try it for a year and see how it goes. If both you guys would come out, and it's not too late to change it, guys. There's nothing that says right now that you can't make a change in your rules. You guys have both came out with it. You've disappointed the fishing industry. You've disappointed your fan base, except for the flat brim and live scoper crowd out there. You've disappointed everybody, but it's not too late. You guys could both come out next week and say, moving forward in the 2025 season, MLF and Bassmaster will not allow forward-facing sonar in their events. Nothing as bad is going to come out of that. Nothing whatsoever. You can tell your electronic companies, guys, you can still push your 360 and your down imaging and your side imaging and your GPS technology with us. We're still going to use that, but this is a bridge too far. We've looked at it, and it's not worth it. It's not worth us getting this type of subsidization from you guys at the expense of everything else that is costing the sport. Try that, guys. You try that for a year, and you see what's going to happen. You see how the stock in both organizations are going to go up. You see how your memberships are going to start rising. You see how all the members that you guys have lost, that you know you have lost, come back to the organization for doing the right thing. And like I said, nothing in the world is bad that's going to come out of this by making that decision. So anyway, hope you guys take that heed there. Let me know what you all think, all your viewers out there, and we'll talk later.